You get a line, I'll get a pole, honey. You get a line, I'll get a pole, babe. You get a line, I'll get a pole, and we'll go fishing in the crawdad hole, honey, baby mine. Hello, I'm Rick Stivers. I'd like to welcome you to Young Martin's Reels. Today's project is going to be this Mithell 8230 spincast reel, and I really don't know anything about this. Ken picked it up at an estate sale, and I told him I had never done one, and I'd kind of like to do it, so that's what we're doing here. And I'm hoping that that's going to tighten down. Let's find out real quick. Next up. Yeah. Nope, that's not going to tighten that handle, which means I'm going to have to add a washer there. Okay. So, now, is that the correct nut for that? It doesn't appear to have torn up the thread, so I guess it is. All right. So, set that off. Let's go ahead and take the cover off, and let's see what we're looking at. Oh, we're all loose inside too. Okay, I'm going to take that nut off of the rotor. And yeah, very dirty rotor inside. And let's see here. I'm going to wipe this off a second. See what we're looking at. Okay, there's our clip that's holding the spool in. So let's see if we can get that out. Let's see if we're in the picture. We are. Okay. There we go. And we should now be able to lift the spool off. There we go. And here's our drag washers. And I'm not going to lay these on my new bench. I just put a new mat down on my bench. So we're going to try to put parts cleanly on the bench today. There's drag washer. Okay, there's the phenolic drag washer. There's the cover, and we're covered in grease. So we'll wipe the spool off. There we go. It goes there, and over here we've got a phenolic, just like on the top. And then we've got the steel pressure washer under that, which is basically similar to a Zebco design. Well, we do have the phenolic, but under the phenolic, there's a clear washer. Okay, and then comes the pressure washer, and this one's got some old grease on it as well. I'll wipe that out. All right, that looks good. Let's see if we can pull this off. It doesn't look like it wants to come off that way, so let's go ahead and remove the screw from the drag adjust. There we go. And let's remove the knob. And let's see if now will come out. Nope. Okay. So, all right, we're held in, it looks like right here. So, let's see if we can kind of, yep, see that little notch right there? That's what was holding this side on. Okay. There's the cover off. There is the pinion gear and the main gear and the anti-reverse. So we're going to take these off one at a time. We'll start off with the axle shaft and see if we can clean it up before we lay it on the bench. All right, the axle shaft cleaned up real nice. It's smooth, moving smoothly. So we'll set that down, and we'll remove the main gear. And the anti-reverse claw just fell off when I did that. So let's see about getting the grease out of this main gear. All right, there's the main gear cleaned up. And here's the anti-reverse claw. And the large end of it goes to the bottom. Or at least that's the way I think it came out. We'll find out for sure when we put it back. I always want to test it when you put it back to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do. Okay, and now I'm going to clean the grease out of the body. And you want to make sure, take a cotton swab and run it through where the axle shaft and the crankshaft go. Clean them out good. And I still got grease over here. There we go. All right, let's clean up the rotor. Okay, now the rotor doesn't seem to want to come clean with just some wiping, so what we're going to do is we're going to spray it with some WD-40. And scrub it up good inside. Trying to get the old grease to break down. Now, some of this doesn't want to come off, so let's take and use a little gentle persuasion. Okay, I think that might actually be rust. Okay, shake that out. Wipe it out good. Yeah, that's corrosion. And make sure that this moves freely. And the only part left is the base of the body here, where it's got some grease and dirt down inside it there. We'll wipe that off. Like so. All right, let's put a little more light on this situation. There we go. And let's go ahead and wipe out the inside of the cover. All right, now what we have is a nice looking little reel. It's not a high-end reel by any means. You can tell that by looking at the main gear on it and the rotor. And pretty much any of the rest of the parts on it. Well, it's just not a high quality reel. It's got the Mitchell name to it, but there's not a whole lot of high quality parts. I'm going to spray this with a little WD-40 and take my wire brush to it a little bit. See if that'll come off. Okay, when I sprayed that, I sprayed it on the outside of this, so I'll wipe that off as well. And if you're looking to make high ends with your spouse, it's probably not a good idea to be using her kitchen towels to clean reels with. And if you think that's what I'm doing, you're mistaken. These were given to me by her. These are her worn out ones. All right, let's see about putting this back to, well, before we do that, I'm gonna see if I can find a washer to go on this. All right, I found a lock washer, and I'm hoping it's got enough length to allow that to tighten down. So let's see about reinstalling all this and getting it put back together. First thing we're gonna do is put this anti-reverse claw back on, and I believe it goes like that. And we'll give it drop of oil here. Okay, now I'm going to oil the crankshaft. Okay, and then on the other side of it, I'm going to grease the teeth. It's not my brush. I'm going to grease the teeth. Okay, and then on the other side of it, I'm going to grease the teeth. Okay, and then on the other side of it, I'm going to grease the teeth. Okay, and then on the other side of it, I'm going to grease the teeth. Okay, and then on the other side of it, I'm going to grease the teeth. Okay, and then on the other side of it, I'm going to grease the teeth. Okay, and then on the other side of it, I'm going to grease the teeth. There we go. Okay, we will drop that into the hole, like so. And let's get it to where the anti-reverse claw is beside it and not under it. And so far it doesn't want to drop that far. Oh, I got the anti-reverse claw hung on the edge over here. Okay, don't do that. Yeah, see there? It's on this edge. Get it past that edge. There we go. There, that's why it wouldn't drop down. Okay, we'll put this on. There we go. It wants to rotate that way and not the other way, and that's good. That's what it's supposed to do. Okay, let's come back here. Well, tell you what, let's go ahead and test to see if our washer is going to fix the handle problem. Okay. There we go. Now the handle is secure. There we go. And the crankshaft's not going to just fall out. Okay. Let's now take and grease our pinion. And we're going to oil it. And slip it back in. Like that. And once you get it, there you go, it should engage. And that's the way that's supposed to fit. The next thing we're going to do is take and put a little bit of grease right on the edge of this right here. Right there. Let me get my ice pick pointer out. We're going to put grease right here because that's where the axle shaft is going to ride. Like so. And then we can slide this back together. And the axle shaft dropped down. So let's get it back where it belongs. There we go. Let's try this again. Like that. All right. We'll put the drag adjuster back in. Put the screw in and turn it counterclockwise to screw it back in. I think it's counterclockwise. Let's see. Nope, clockwise. It's got normal threads. Screw it all the way down and then leave it in a crossed over position like that. We're going to come back. We're going to add a little grease there and there. And then we're going to slip on the pressure plate. We're going to add a little grease to the pressure plate. Put this clear washer on. Put the phenolic washer on. And I don't think you have to, but I'm going to give it a little bit of grease. Okay, and we're going to take and put the rotor on. Put the phenolic drag washer on. And the metal pressure one. And with that, we should be able to reinstall this clip back on like that. And then to tighten this drag, we just turn it this way and it should start to tighten up, which it is. All right, now what I'm going to do is I want to get hold of this line because I'm going to end up stripping this line off, but I also want to be able to test the drag when it's done. So before I strip it off, I want to get hold of this line And get a piece of it out here. There we go, like that. So that it's not going to be causing me any grief when I go to do this. Okay, next, we're going to put some grease under the pickup pin. Move it a little bit. There we go. Got to make sure this line is not trapped under this rotor. We're going to put the rotor on and install the nut. That's not the right one. That one. All right. Got that. Now, we're going to take this line and we're going to feed it through the front cover, like so. We're going to pull it out to make sure that we're not trapped under the edge of the cover. And then we're going to tighten it down. Okay. Button's pushed. Okay, when we crank it, it winds in. The drag is too tight, so let's loosen it. Okay, loosen it a little more. Okay, that's good. Taking it down. That's really good. Okay. Make sure it spools out. Good, it does. And let's wind it in. And at that point, I've managed to get the line tangled in my wire brush. Let's put my pointer away. Set the screw over here, and we're going to strip off this line real quick. Now, I just used my drill with an old piece of broken fishing rod. Like that. Push the button and spin off the line. Tighten and drag. There we go. The line is removed. Let's make sure we didn't leave a piece of it behind, which we did. And I got to get that out of there. Nope, it didn't come all the way off. All right. This goes to the end of the line. I'm going to grab hold of that. Put a pair of pliers down inside there, grab hold of it, and pull. And that snapped it off clean. There you have the Mithell 8230 spincast reel. Like I said, it's not a high dollar reel, but I'd never seen one, so I wanted to do one. Ken left this with me about 2 months ago, and I finally got around to doing it tonight. And he can take it and put it back out on the market. I appreciate that. And if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you didn't like it, hit the dislike button. Tell me what you didn't like about it. For now, that's Rick Stivers with YoungMartin'sReels, signing out.